And we're live. Welcome everybody. Tranky, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? It's good to be here.
Yeah, mate, I'm very, very good. I think this is the first time I've seen your face as well. We've DM'd a lot, but whilst you were living the dream in Buenos Aires, right? I don't think we ever actually ended up speaking. So it's nice to meet properly.
Yeah. Our secondary meeting. Obviously the fully Discord relationship first. Tease it up for this.
Yeah, that's good, man. And you've got a cool story in Developer Down, how you've got to where you are. So definitely keen for you to get to share that in a sec. But just for everyone watching, we do these workshops weekly. Currently, they're at 4:30 p.m. UTC, and they'll from now on will be streamed live on YouTube. We were doing them in the server previously, but we kind of want to get our reach out more. And typically, their focus is very much on education. Folks like Tranqui coming to share some knowledge about something that they're working on or interested in a kind of like an interactive workshop. So you can look at the history of the playlist that's already there. There's stuff on deploying to Arweave, Ethereum data structures, all sorts of stuff. But at least every week and probably twice a week moving forward, we'll be running these workshops. So definitely subscribe if you haven't. Keep an eye out for it. And yeah, hopefully we can share some knowledge from the community over the coming months. But today, obviously, we have Tranqui.
And y'all can call me Max too, by the way. That's my real name. No problem with that. Getting out there. Yeah.
I don't mind getting doxed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would always introduce myself as well, but because it's Kemp online, it just gets confusing, right? So, yeah, I mean, as we alluded to at the beginning, Tranqui's got a super interesting story over the last 6 months, I think. So, rather than try and tell it for him, do you want to give kind of a bit of a background of yourself, mate, and kind of your story over the last 6 months, how you've kind of got to where you are, what you're doing now, and so on?
Yeah, totally. I'd say I'll even take it back a little bit further to where it sort of all starts, which is I graduated college 2 years ago, like right into the pandemic. I was, conservation biology major, excited of getting into renewable energy and stuff. Like, was super lucky to get a job right out of school, and a remote job right out of school because everything was kind of shut down right away. That was back in like May 2020. Was doing that for like a year or two, which was cool. It was interesting. And kind of like a year of the way through that, like last July, I listened to my first biology podcast. This one he did with like Tim Ferriss. It's like some 4 hour long, like crazy thing. But up until that point, I had never taken any of the crypto stuff seriously. Like I'd never like done coding or stuff before. But I heard that talk. So it was like July 2021. And I was like, wow, maybe this stuff's like all real, or like it's not just something to like totally like ignore, right? Without like investigating more thoroughly. So I started just doing the thing, trying to find resources, like reading stuff online, listening to more biology podcasts, and obviously as soon as you do that, it's just like totally down the rabbit hole. And at that time, I was also starting to get a little more like frustrated with the job I had, which was really cool, but like it was doing all this like data analysis stuff with energy storage optimization, working on renewables is like, what I thought I had wanted to do, but working in like this, and like the structure I was pretty much doing like data analysis for a sales team who just like didn't care about the renewable thing at all.
You weren't coding at all at that point, right? It was
no, I mean, I was just in Excel for like way too long a day. I hated it. It was bad. So it was like more and more pissed at my job over time, while also getting like way more interested in crypto. And then my first NFT I ever minted so randomly November of 2021, developer DAO NFT. I don't know how like all the stars. I have no idea how all the stars aligned like for that to happen. And so I minted that. I was like, okay, that's cool. Because at that point I was like, maybe like in the indefinite future, I want to like learn coding and like do all this stuff. So that happened. Didn't do anything in the Discord or the DAO or whatever until January. It was like January. I was like home visiting my fam, I think, and then I just saw that there was a call like with like M, because I'm not sure if she's still like doing them actively, but at the time she was doing the like kind of like wellness check-in calls, and kind of just like talk and like vibe about stuff. So I hopped on one of those, and she pretty much was like, "Yo, like you should just like tap in with everything. Everyone's like so nice." So that happened. Shout out her, because without all of this, I still wouldn't have been like tapped into things. And then at that point, I met a bunch of people. We started like forming the education team. I was like, okay, maybe I should like really start to learn this stuff. So I helped build my, that pretty much that whole like introduction got me to the point where I could start building a roadmap with people who knew like way more than me. And then once that happened, I had the roadmap. I was like, all right, I'm gonna quit. So I quit my job, had the roadmap that I knew I could just follow, had this crazy community of people who are like ready to respond to my stupid questions like within like 5 seconds. You know, it's like whip heart just going like, you know, or like diehard, just like from any time, you know, just like instant response, like Phil too, you know, like all that stuff. So that happened. Moved to Santiago first, and I did like kind of like 100 days of like really not doing anything except coding, because I knew like
you did the Twitter challenge, right? Like, and you were properly updating it every day. I remember seeing it and having
yeah,
like
exactly.
in Buenos Aires and stuff.
I had to like really do it because like I wasn't making any money. I had quit my job, so if I didn't learn how to do all this coding stuff, it was like, all right, it's gonna run out. I'd saved up like 2-3 months I could like live off of, but I needed to like go crazy. So I pretty much did like 100 days of coding without really leaving my crib that much. The only person who I knew that on there was actually another developer DAO guy, Angel, who's like the best, and he was like my one friend, like point of like contact with humanity. We went to like Valparaiso, did some cool stuff. He's the boy, but yeah, pretty much was just really like locked in, trying to learn everything, you know, like HTML, CSS, React, JavaScript, Solidity, the graph, like how to do all this stuff. And then during that time, I sort of started working tangentially with the ZORA protocol, ZORA community, everything, just so they had really good docs and stuff. And then yeah, that was one of the, you know, reading the hyperstructure essay and all that stuff just
Didn't
got me
you
like really
post a tweet like saying I'd love to work for ZORA, and then it came back full circle like a few months later, right?
Yeah, it was like I sent like a message to Jacob like before I even left the US. I was like, yo, yeah, he's like one of the founders, and I was like, yo, like I don't know anything, but like I'm about to be nice. Like watch, I'm gonna do this 100 days, and then like I'm trying to work for y'all, and then it worked. So it was like, yeah, that was super crazy. So moved to Buenos Aires, kind of like continued my learning. There's like a big crypto scene there. So it was great to like already know how to code, and then I could tap in. Met a bunch of artists, was living with the 2 other developer DAO members, Mateo and Carl. That was like super dope. And then yeah, at the end of that, like did a project with Feldzine that kind of like got my name out there a little bit. And then the ZORA thing happened, and then I've just been working ever since. So yeah, all this stuff is like all just happened. I haven't reconciled any of it. It's all kind of fast. But now I kind of know how to code a little bit, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I'm just trying to like take advantage of these situations, like so lucky and everything. But all of it started because the stuff with the developer DAO, which itself was just like a random fateful thing. So yeah, that's kind of like the full story.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Like it's like I think there's quite a few people that like maybe haven't like jumped into it like to the full extent that you did, but like have had like similar kind of experiences in the DAO as well. But like as like where people have the opportunity to do it, like putting yourself out there and taking those kind of risks, like even like messaging the founder at ZORA, like it's a cool move. Like and I'm super glad that it's like 6 months from when you made the decision pretty much to.
Well, I moved to Santiago. It was February 1st, so it's like that was the first like code I typed was that day. So it's been like just under like 8 or something like that.
Yeah, cool, awesome, man. Such a good story, mate. I love it. It's really good. I hope that people watching kind of like maybe take some inspiration from it and kind of where they can kind of like take that inspiration to kind of jump in as well, because it certainly can change your life if you kind of stick your That's super cool, man. Cool. And so now you're a software engineer at ZORA or a DevRel, or what are you doing?
Yeah. So my official title is community developer advocate, but I'd say I kind of these days have been doing more sort of like exploratory builds on like the edges of what's possible with all like the whole stack that we're using, to try and sort of like make it more obvious the type of stuff you can do with the protocol, with the create tools, with the indexer, because you know, a lot of the stuff we see like just thrown at us and like, you know, either on Twitter or just like anywhere, that's like the main things people are building. It's like all the same all the time, which is like good, right? There's some like important patterns that like you need to learn and like be able to do. But there's also like a lot of like groupthink, and people kind of get like boxed in and like, oh yeah, it's like I want to make NFT projects with like art and stuff, you know, which is like, it's cool. There's no problems with that, but there's a lot more other stuff you can do. And that's what I'm really interested in. And that's what like ZORA is like trying to make more obvious and help like foster, which is like this really like super open, do anything with all this data that now we have access to. And now these new like mechanisms where you can have like crazy composable stuff that can be like shown anywhere, and you can be the one deciding what shows up, or like you and a community can be the ones deciding what shows up where. And then just like, you know, I feel like it's more of like, I think the talk of the title of this was like reimagining content distribution. It feels more just like information access distribution, you know, like content can be anything. It can be art, it can be it can be an audio file, it can be an essay, it can be a science publication, it can be like anything. And like the tools that ZORA is building are for like freeing the information to be used in however people want to, you know.
Yeah, nice, man. Like I've got like 1,000-foot view of ZORA, but like don't know a huge amount about them. I know they've done like some really cool stuff in like getting their tools out there, and their docs, like you said, are supposed to be amazing. So I'm super interested to kind of see what you got to show us today. So I guess we can roll on, like rather than bury the lead. Do you want to kind of like set things up and kind of talk folks through what you want to be what you're going to be showing them today?
Yeah, so I'm gonna do kind of like a fork, or like a project inspired by a recent project I did. And maybe this is time for me to share my screen too, just so I can start being more specific with the stuff I'm talking about. So this is a project that came out recently. It was a project I built for SongCamp, who's like this really cool sort of like more like music art focused community, but definitely like heavy focus on music. They run like writing camps, and they're the ones who like help put together the whole like headless chaos thing. So we sort of came together back during the metabolism hackathon, and we were like, yo, it'd be really cool if we could build like a custom ZORA minter site, you know, like for SongCamp, so that they could like put their artists work up there, you know, sort of like provide that distribution benefit to the artists who have helped like build the brand of SongCamp and just like headless chaos and everything they're doing in general. That's sort of like a way to give back, and also to promote like the amazing like roster of artists who are like a part of their thing. And so started building that, and initially like this seems pretty basic, right? It's just like you're pulling in ZORA edition collections and you're providing the minting interface, because all of them are using the ZORA edition contract. The ZORA edition standard like contract, like when you deploy a contract through ZORA, it's the deployer owns the contract. This is just like us using the same standard over and over again, so you can put like a programmatic like mint interface on it. But what's most interesting here is it also uses this really basic like curatorial mechanism that I like chefed up for this. It's still kind of like a beta, but we're actually working on making it less of a beta, aka like have someone else write the solidity. That's not me. But what it does is it allows you. It does a couple things, but most interestingly, it allows you to like sort of distribute the ability to update an on-chain dynamic array of addresses, all of these being ZORA edition collections, to a community by gating the functionality with an like NFT pass. I'm calling it kind of like a curation pass that you can airdrop. So this right here, if you own Present, and I'm not going to connect right now, but if you own Present, which is like this token that they created with ZORA and then airdrop to everybody using the airdrop tools we have, you now can like unlock, pretty much it unlocks the ability to like, so you can see here, sorry, and I'm kind of going all over the place. You can set a curation path that gates the functionality of adding listings or removing listings to the contract. So now you can
like decentralize the curation of what's on that marketplace.
That's exactly the point. And people can like now be updating a website from anywhere in the world. They don't need to know how to code. They just need to be able to like make a ZORA collection and then like put that address in here, you know? So it's still like I wouldn't say like the UX is like all the way like anyone could use it. You still kind of like need to know what like wallets are and like be able to connect stuff, but it's definitely a lot closer to like you know, we did a walkthrough and now their artists can update this list. So yeah, this has been cool. It started with 3 and now it's up to like a ton. I don't know, 3, 6, 9, 12, 18 like 20-ish, and a bunch of mints happening on here. And this is still definitely kind of like a beta idea, but I think it's a powerful idea. And again, like the solidity is not groundbreaking whatsoever. It's like the most basic thing. But what's interesting is like just taking the mechanism seriously. You know, it's like, why don't we just put it on chain and then gate the functionality with an NFT pass? It's like really basic. But it seems like something like there's to me there's like a lot of stuff that seems like really basic and powerful that just like is getting overlooked in the space. So that's kind of like what this project was, just like bringing to light. You can make an on-chain registry, and now it's really cool because now this listing can be indexed anywhere, and like Spinamp or Future Tape or like any of these Web3 music like teams, they can now pull it in, and there it is. You know, there's like the present material playlist on Spinapp or Future Tape or whatever. So working with those teams, once the protocol gets a little more refined, as I previously mentioned, to start making that like an actual feature. But that's coming, and that's so something I'm really excited about. And then would also just mention that like this is the idea behind this contract is it's the most generalized thing possible. We, for this platform, present material, told people only list ZORA edition collections because that's what we built the front end around. But like this can be any address, right? This can be a user address. This can be other curation contracts. This can be literally anything. So that's actually something I'm going to get into the build right now, which is using this type of curatorial mechanism to do a different type of thing other than like curating ZORA edition collections, just to like kind of show the generalizable like use cases for on-chain registries and stuff like that.
Yeah, nice, man. It's like kind of like to the hyperstructures essay, right? In terms of like building something that can like grow by itself, like super cool concept, like that whole like problem domain that Zora and folks around Zora and thinking in. I find that super fascinating.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's kind of like the quick overview. How much time we have? Let's see. Okay, good thing I prepped some of this last night. Yeah, so I'd say I'm gonna just dive into the build and see how quickly I can get all this set up, and maybe you just like throw comments or questions along the way, and I'll try to be talking through stuff as I go.
Yeah, for sure, man. Do you want to take questions from the audience along the way as well? If there's anything that comes up that people want to.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's totally cool. Is there any chance like you can like read me them or something? I'm not sure if I'll like be able to see them as I'm
yeah,
or maybe I can.
You focus on that, and I'll throw them in for you. And is there anything you want to share with people to follow along with, or is it best for them to just watch the screen?
Okay, I'll share the thing that I prepped last night, but they should just be watching the screen probably because I'm gonna probably change some things. Do I chat in this private chat thing that we have?
Send it there, and I'll forward it there. This is like full disclosure to everyone watching. This is the first time we've used StreamYard. So forgive us, it's a little bit questionable.
It's kind of nice though. At least the interface so far. So okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna be like loosely following that. That was just me doing this last night to make sure I didn't look like a fool today. So yeah, let me. Okay, I'm just gonna get into it. I have some notes on the side here too, so you guys might see me like peeking over there, and I will see if I can go quickly.
Yeah, cool, man.
Let's do this thing. Okay, am I sharing? Can you see my screen right now? Is this working? Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. There we go.
Sorry, man, I'm muted. Yeah, we can see you if you're coming through clear.
Okay, dope. So first thing is we're gonna fork this starter kit. This is a ZORA starter kit I made. I guess I'll do a very super quick just review of it because it's really helpful. Something I made ahead of the hackathon. It's just like a very easy way to get started with some of the API stuff we have, some of the ZDK, like ZORA development kit, like hooks that make using the API easier so you don't need to know how to do like GraphQL stuff. This is like a create interface, which is kind of like a custom version of like create.zora.co, which is like our like sort of like more like legit tool for actually building collections. But you can make it yourself. And then a protocol page that provides sample interactions for all the different major protocol things we have. So buying an auction for listed price, offering kind of like unsolicited bids on an NFT, and then like running auctions. So yeah, I'll be forking that. I forked that to make the site I just showed you. So it's been pretty useful so far. So yeah, I'm gonna get into that now.
I remember you sharing that original demo, mate, months ago in the server.
yeah. How far we've come. Okay, but let me go here. So I'm just in my terminal right now. I have this little thing called Playground, Maker, Live, UD build. And now you guys can see too that like I still have no idea what I'm doing for the most part. So please encourage everyone who thinks that they're not qualified to do something to do it because you are qualified, and everyone around you is just faking that they're qualified for the most part. Besides some really smart people. Maybe one day that can be me, not now. Okay, so I forked the starter kit, and now I'm just going to get VS Code open so we have a little better view. I didn't really explain that really well. Pretty much just like get cloned into a repo, and then yeah, just like using that as the base. So first thing I'll do is npm install the packages here.
Is the can people see? Is the font size okay?
Oh yeah, my bad.
Maybe push it up one, see how it goes.
My eyes would be happy for that as well. Let's see, how does this look? Let me just open anything. Jeez, come on, just open. Yeah, is that okay-ish?
I think it's okay. If anyone can't see, just drop a comment in, and I'll.
Yeah, I can bump that up real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so we installed the ZORA starter kit. Now we're going to install this curation repo, which has, this is like the most basic kind of like hard hat development, like hard hat deploy scripts like of all time. But it hosts the most recent version of these contracts, which again are still beta and are going to be updated soon. Thank you to the protocol team for lending me some of their expertise. So I am going to, what am I about to do? I'm about to make a new directory called Curation. I'm going to cd into that. And then this is where I'll install, or this is where I'm going to clone into that repo. So that will give me like the hard hat stuff that I need. Word, so that is in there. So now you can see in Curation, I have access to this stuff. I need to throw in a .env first. I'll npm install the packages there as well. So here's the example. So I'm going to do, within the Curation repo, because this will be kind of like my hard hat environment. I'm just going to add another .env, and I'll copy paste the stuff that's here. This is an Etherscan key that I'm not going to use after this talk. And then for private key, I'm going to do a little burner wallet setup. I've just been trying to spam some of these girly faucets because I haven't had any, I just realized, until recently. So we just moved. Yep. What's up?
Didn't they shut down the test networks recently? You could have left yourself super stuck because the merge is tomorrow, right?
Yeah, it was almost a problem. Yeah, doing all this dev stuff next to the merge is not the most fun thing. But yeah, Zora's just got everything out onto Girly recently over the past like few weeks and months, so that not a problem anymore. But we were doing a lot of stuff on Ring very recently, so yeah, we kind of needed to do that. So just to show y'all what I'm doing, I just like have this random wallet that has like nothing important in it, and I am going to fund it with some girly ETH. I guess I'll just do like that. And then the reason I'm doing this is because I need to grab the private key from this, and I don't want to show you the private key to wallets that I actually own that are important. So I'm going to do here, export the private key, boom, and this is probably not cool that I'm showing you how long my MetaMask password is on it, but okay. So that's the private key that we'll be passing in. It's in my .env, so this just stays locally. So in the git ignore for this thing, for people who don't know, you set up .env to be like a file type that's like ignored. So when you push the repo, to GitHub, you're not pushing your private key. That is a very key thing to do. Okay, so we got the wallet funded that I'll be using. Let's just double check the hard hat config, make sure that's set up right. I'm using this anchor public girly RPC URL, and then I have girly set up right here, feeding the URL in, and then private key getting inserted from the .env, and then same thing with the Etherscan key. So I think we're set up for that, which means we can actually now move to these contracts, and I'll do a quick review of the contract, really, really basic, and then we'll get to deploying. Just because I don't want to run out of time here. And so I think we're already starting to get a little bit out of time. So you can see, this is the exact same deploy script I used to deploy the current contract that's being used in present material, that website. So I'm going to change this to DAO on-chain contributor registry. And I'm going to change the curation pass to a curation pass that I airdropped to myself last night. so that I could have just to like speed up this whole process. So now when I deploy, and then I need to change these arguments as well. So now when I deploy this contract, the curation manager, and we'll get into that in a second, these are kind of like the inputs I'm feeding into it. And I just want to make sure these are lined up in terms of doing any contract verification, post deploy that I might have to do. Okay, so we have that set up. And now for a quick review of the contract, the thing that I mentioned was most important is this listings dynamic array. There's a lot of other stuff happening, but for the purpose of this call, I'm not going to get into it. Pretty much, this is what we are adding or removing listings to.
This is what you were showing in Etherscan earlier in terms of like where people can add their like.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think the two most important things here right now is like, so that's the listings like array that we're adding or removing things to, and then the functionality is gated by some other things, but most importantly, this only owner or curator modifier. So this checks that the person who's sending the message is either the owner of the contract, so like the deployer or whoever the owner is if it's been transferred. So they have to either be the owner or they have to have a balance of the curation pass NFT of something that's like not 0, aka like greater than 1. And if that's the case, they'll be able to actually call some of these functions, and if not, they'll get this revert right here. So just for example, the functions we'll be calling are like add listing, which you like pass in a listing, which is any address, and then it does a bunch of stuff, and it's checked to make sure like the curation's active, you're owner or curator, you haven't gone over the curation limit, et cetera, et cetera.
Are these contracts that ZORA use in their like production marketplace, or are these like things that they built as like an experiment?
So this is totally an experiment I made, not related to any of like the official like V3 protocol or like any of the marketplace stuff we have or the create tools. This is a totally separate thing, which is why I need help turning it into a real thing. Because I'm not a Solidity engineer, but I want to become really good at Solidity eventually. It's been taking me longer than I thought because front end is kind of annoying to learn a lot. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. I don't honestly even want to get too much further into this because this is all going to be revamped and I'll be providing like way more support on it once that happens. But for now, kind of just like a beta thing. If you want to mess around with it, go crazy. But yeah, that's kind of like the gist. So, okay, we can deploy now. We have this stuff set up. We have the new name of the, this will be like the curator contract, like title. And I'm just gonna get these deployed and I'll talk about what we're actually doing. I know that I'm not actually, I haven't really explained this whole idea yet.
Yeah, we're not like tight on the clock, man. Like,
oh, we're good. Okay.
Yeah, we scheduled for like at least 60 minutes time, so you're good. You don't need to rush. If you want to go deeper into things, like I wouldn't worry about the time if you've got the time.
Okay, got it. I'd say the more interesting stuff is not even the Solidity. Like I mentioned, it's kind of basic Solidity, but some of the, like the indexing stuff. So I'll be sure to be. I'm trying to kind of get through this part so we can spend some more time on that. So I'm running this deploy script. Again, this is like we're doing like kind of 4 hard hat, just like basic deploy stuff. Right here, just kind of this is just like gonna run this whole file, and then it will deploy the contract to Gurley that's like being set up in here. Sorry, there's something I did, which you have to make sure you're actually in the curation repo, or else like you're in the curation folder, or else you won't have access to the hard hat stuff. So I just tried to run it from the ZORA starter kit, which is why you see like I didn't have access. But if I do that same command over here, we should be good to go. And let's see, network Gurley. And we still didn't get it. And why is that? Okay, let me see if it's here. Okay, I just moved totally out of the way. That's I could play around. What's this whole thing called? CD. DD live DD build.
Relations of live coding, man.
Yeah, you guys are seeing this is a live build. If this was not obvious, DD curation. I know what this is because I did it literally yesterday. I have the error that I made in my notes for not to do. It's just like the nested like folder thing where you have to like, I had to like move into the folder like again, which I didn't do. So now I'm actually in the hard hat folder. Now I probably need to npm install this as well, and then we can run this hard hat stuff. Just fun things. Yeah, I'm also slightly hard, so bear with me, please. Script that's deploy.js network curly. Okay, let's see if that runs. And if this runs and it's looking like it is because it's getting this little delay thing, we should see the contract address that it deploys to. And it did, so that's awesome. So I'm going to go now check this in Etherscan because it seems like recently Etherscan is actually kind of like automatically verifying, and maybe this is just like me not noticing before, but it's automatically been verifying contracts that share the same, like the exact same bytecode as previous contracts.
Like if you had verified that it's like open source on Etherscan, it's copying like the ABI or whatever.
Yeah. Exactly. So I feel like that hadn't really been happening for me before, but it was last night when I was doing this. So we might be able to skip that verification process. But I'm actually going to send. Let me send this is what I would have used to verify the thing. That's the script I would have used to verify. Maybe that's helpful, just for people to know. And that will be in the little docs and stuff. But yeah, let's check this out.
For folks that maybe don't know, like, why is it important to verify?
It's pretty much, well, actually, that's actually a good question. I mean, from people who know what Etherscan is, it's so that like people who are accessing the code after it's been deployed can know that the code that they're reading was verified by the person who actually deployed it and not by like some malicious actor who like actually changed the code a little bit to like screw you up if you try to like fork it. Outside of Etherscan, I'm not sure like how relevant I mean, obviously it's relevant in terms of just like usability because Etherscan is a major piece of infrastructure. But actually, yeah, I'd be interested to see like if there's other reasons that it's important besides just like code sharing practices. But what you can see here is this is matching the bytecode of a previous one I've deployed, so it's already showing up. So this is our curation manager, and we can see if we read the contract, the title will be that DAO on-chain contributor registry thing that we set up. And it's just an empty array right now. So nothing has been updated or curated or anything. And then the curation pass is also that pass that I noted earlier. And I think with that, we might be almost good to move on to the next side of things. And yeah, so we are. So here we go. I'm going to open this. This is let's see if this opens up. And actually, I probably should go through testnet first, just the whole UI so you guys can see what's happening. So this is the testnet version of the create tools that Zora has that allow you to create a collection. You can see here just like testnet.create.zora.co. And this is what I used last night to create this collection, which is this DD curation pass. I airdropped it to a few people after the fact, and I'll get into airdropping in a second, but pretty much these tools are really easy. You can just like fill in name, symbol, description, upload your images, set some price information, kind of like sales information, like how many editions do you want to be mintable, how long do you want the sale to be open, and then like royalty and payout address, and then you press create and it creates a whole collection for you. It ends up being like a proxy contract that there's a whole, let me share that actually, because that is in itself a whole ridiculously amazing thing. The whole drops contracts architecture that we have is like really cool in terms of like the composability that it allows for, and just to share that.
So I'm gonna drop it in the private chat and I'll throw it into the comments as well.
Yes, I'm liking that flow we have going. So yeah. so that is the drops contracts. You can right now, like Zora provides a UI in this create interface to create additions and like what we call like drop style contracts, which are kind of more of the like more like PFP route where like all the tokens are different IDs and stuff like that.
Would it be like, have you used Third Web? Would it be like comparable to like Third Web's like NFT drop contracts or collection contracts?
Yeah, it's like that. I haven't used Third Web a ton, but it's like doing like similar things where it's like make that whole process way easier. You can trust like the solidity has been audited and stuff like that. And Third Web is really cool. I'm like a big fan of their stuff. So yeah, definitely in the same vein of that thing. So yeah, so that's like the interface, and I just like we'll be making some other collections, but just to start, this is the curation pass, and I've airdropped it to collectors not shown on Girly because we haven't set that up yet apparently. I've airdropped it to my wallet and like my dev wallet so that I have the ability to add listings once we get to that point. And let me just make sure that's what I want to do yet. Okay, so this is where I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to stop sharing for a second, and then I'll get back into the dev. What I'm going to do here is, instead of curating a list of like ZORA edition collections, I'm going to curate a list of establish a hypothetical scenario. A DAO wants to airdrop, like build out an on-chain reputation airdropping system where, like, you know, whatever the metrics are for how to determine if someone like deserves the airdrop, they want to be able to like record the list of addresses in an on-chain registry of what are the like official reputation tokens. Yeah. So there can be like a DAO engineer reputation token, design reputation token, and like community reputation token. And then you throw it all up in one of these on-chain registries, and now people can look at it and always know what the like most, you know, because that can be like a registry that's maintained by a DAO to be like the official source of truth. Like, these are the things that mean someone has on-chain reputation. Don't take the word from anywhere else on the internet. Like, only this is like the official source of truth. And that's like a very specific use case, right? But you can imagine that being like literally any type of content that you're trying to like curate and like put. I was
thinking in my head, like when Nada did the original a DAO for developers mirror post, he was talking about like creating an accelerator within the DAO, and like some ideas were thrown around about like a leaderboard that like token holders could vote on and like decide which projects to back. And like I could imagine this kind of curation in terms of like project selection, and like you could use the same mechanisms.
Exactly, because like you can set up like a governance. You could add like a governance module on top, or like a voting module on top of these curation contracts that, like, you know, according whatever the governance vote like mechanism, however that like results in, it then like results in an on-chain transaction that updates the curation list. You know, so it's like something like that where you can actually now have that collective kind of like governance voting over like what things get funded. It's kind of, in that sense, it's kind of like the nouns like whole auction system, or like that whole like model of like doing like community fundraising stuff and like much more. But it's like governance and then on-chain transactions, which I think is important. So now this is like governance, on-chain transactions, curation. So that is what we'll be getting into. And so let me now go back. So what we'll do is we'll create some of these passes. So going back to testnetcreate.co, we'll call this DAO on-chain engineering token, you know, or DAO on-chain rep engineering token. We'll call it here.
You're not sharing your screen.
That is a fantastic point. This is why we're a team today. Okay, let's see. I'm sharing again. We get the crazy infinite whatever. Okay, so I'm back on testnet.create.zora.co, and I am creating the first token that we're going to airdrop, which is this engineering reputation token. So certifies holder is has completed some X like task for the DAO. And then something I would note is stuff like this, you probably want to actually be like soul-bound tokens or soul-bound NFTs, where like the person who receives the mint can't actually transfer them, or else you're just you're creating like a liquid market for reputation within your DAO, which is like not what you want to do at all, because it means someone can just buy reputation. So this is like not what you want. Well, it's the mechanism you'd want to do it. You just need to then like implement like a soul-bound implementation, which I believe is potentially composable with our base, like the kind of like base ERC 721 that's underlying all the drops contracts, but it also might not be. So there might be a need for us to kind of just like make a quick like an additional module that allows you to select soulbound or not. But that's something I'm realizing I need to ask people about right now. So we will not be doing soulbound tokens today. We are going to pick this image of NFT I've put out at some point. We're going to make it free. We're going to make the edition size open and like unlimited so that, you know, we can over for like the rest of whatever time, we can just continue to airdrop as we see fit. Yeah. And then with something like this, where I want the mechanism for minting to only be airdrops, I'm going to set the start and end times to yesterday, so that the minting functionality is like there's no minting functionality, right?
So only the owner contracts can create them.
Exactly. Yeah. So only the people who are like running, like the admins behind this whole system. I'll set up just a random royalty, and then I think we're good to go. Let's see.
Is it out of the realm of possibilities to airdrop it to someone watching if someone's got a...
No, it is not. I'm going to airdrop it to a couple things, but then can also, if you want to throw me an address in the chat, I can throw another address onto you'll see. So yeah, give me an address I can airdrop to someone if someone's tapped in right now. We can get this going.
Yeah, if anyone's got a Growly address handy, like let us know in the comments.
Get ready for some nice spam to your wallet.
Yeah.
How much time? Okay, 18 minutes. I think we might. I'll at least be able to get to the point where the data is set up. We might not be able to make a nice UI for this thing, but yeah, I think we'll be okay.
Aditya has sorted us out. Oh, we got two. Yash has come as well. I'll paste both into the Bob. Help me out. Private chat.
Beautiful. So this is us making live transactions on Ethereum today, which is probably a stupid thing to do. But at least we're on Gurley, not mainnet. But okay, it was deployed. We now have this contract. And this is kind of like now the back end sort of like management tools. Yeah. So I'll open up the purchase page just because that might be more obvious for people. So this is like the classic, like if you use create.zora.co right now, you create these like custom kind of minting purchase pages. But then we also have these admin tools for like owners of the collections can actually now do like stuff like airdrops or allow list or like this cool like embed feature we recently have been getting up. So you can now like embed this little like chunk of stuff into a React app like super easy. This is something that like just happened recently, which is like really cool, and I haven't experimented with this. But yeah, anyway,
these are UI components that they're shipping as well.
Yeah, so now for this like literally shipped yesterday, I think, or like 2 days ago. So now for every project that's created, you just get this like embeddable stuff that you can kind of like customize, which is cool. This is a little bit of the shilling, I guess, of this. So let me get back to doing the thing I actually wanted to do. Okay, so airdrop. So this lets you airdrop this NFT we just created to a list of addresses, and what it's doing is it's calling this like admin mint function, like admin mint airdrop thing, and then like sending it out to like 1 million people. So what I'm gonna do is just to show you, this is something I learned recently. Maybe I'm just like stupid and never noticed this, but if you want to get a CSV of all of the holders of a given NFT, all you have to do is go to Etherscan for a collection. This is the Birth of Zoretopia collection, which was like a free mint we gave out at NFT Oakland to people. It was one of the first projects I was doing to like set up like a gasless minting like experience. And it's a bunch of cool people who went to NFT Oakland. So I'm gonna airdrop it to all of them. And I'll also add in the people who just share their address. But what you can do, if you didn't know, is if you go to the contract on Etherscan and then scroll down, you can download the CSV export of everything, which then lets you boom, boom. I'm not a real
I guess this is how what NFT marketplace was it that airdropped? It was Looks Rare, right? They airdropped to every single person that had ever done a transaction on OpenSea. and that's how they
right.
Yeah.
That's how they like spun everything up. Yeah, so this was more like targeted, like a user is deciding that they want to like airdrop a specific token to people. But yeah, I mean, like the concept of airdropping is interesting because all these addresses are public, and now there's all this data for tracking addresses, and that's kind of what this gets into, right? Whether or not, you know, the whole like privacy stuff related to a lot of this public information is an entirely other can of worms that we don't have time to get into, but you know, just calling it out there as well. So CSV of addresses, I just downloaded from Etherscan in one click. Thank you, Etherscan. I copied it, and now I'm going to go and paste it into this admin interface. Where is it? It's here. Cool. Nice. Now I'm going to go back here and grab.
Man, I was waiting for you to get there. I can't. It won't let me copy and paste out of the comment thread, so I can't. Send it
I can maybe copy this. Oh geez. Oh no, we don't want this.
Yeah.
Do you want to DM me or something?
Yeah. Or Aditya, do you want to DM me or Tranquil on Discord, and we can get it that way?
Oh, there's that Discord. I'm so dumb. There's that Discord chat right now, isn't there? Right?
Yeah. Well, I think we didn't use it in the end, but if one of the guys can, Aditya or Yash, if you're still with us, if you can DM me or Tranquil the code.
I'm gonna keep. Let's see. We got 15 seconds to get this address because I want to make sure we can keep moving and finish this. But just so we don't slow down too much. But yeah, it would be cool if we can actually do that. I'm on Discord. I'm ready. I'm ready for someone.
I've got it coming.
Here we go. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we
go. Aditya, I just extended. There we go.
Yep.
Look at that.
Yep.
It's coming.
There we go.
Easy. Love that.
You put in the channel, or
it's in the private. It's back in StreamYard, man.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, we love that. All right.
There we go.
Good teamwork, everybody. So let's see. Now you can confirm. We can get some live confirmation if you got the airdrop too. So I just added your address to that. I'm now going to click airdrop, and this is going to airdrop that token, which will then be curating as like the official reputation on that official reputation registry. Once we set up, but first that needs to get sent out. Another live transaction. Wait, am I streaming? Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah, man. Sorry.
So yeah, this is cool. This whole like I actually haven't used this interface a ton. We've been kind of like progressively rolling out more and more admin functionalities on these contracts to try and make them more usable for stuff like this. So this is the first time I've actually done it, and you tell me, but it was pretty easy. And using like assembling the different tools like Etherscan and this together, you can start doing like interesting experiments like the one we're doing. So that just got sent out.
Yeah. So it's like a growth hacker's dream, Etherscan, like the kind of things the kind of things you can do. Like it's just crazy.
It's super wild. So let's see if now
the all of this infrastructure that Zora are like creating or like supporting you to create, is it like you may not be able to share, like is it like going to become a part of their like business model, or is it like just pure public good open source sharing? Or
okay, so right now the when you create a contract on Zora, and then like deploy it into the world, 5% of the primary sales of like the mint revenue go to like Zora.eth. I wouldn't say that's necessarily like an enormous business model for us, but it's preventing some people from deciding they want to use the Zora contracts, right? Because that's like value extraction right there. So we're actually in the process. Hey, let's go NFT. we're in the process of like re-architecting how the fee model works, so that actually a platform who's providing like a create interface, because like we're providing ours, but like theoretically community should be providing their own create interfaces that are like getting more targeted to them. Maybe it's in different languages, maybe it's like offering different functionality, whatever. They'll be able to set the fee, so they can set it to 0 if they want to, or they can set it to whatever it is and reinvest in their community, or take it as money earned for providing a service. So that is in the works right now. Yes, every collection that you produce will be 5% of the primary revenue back into Zora.eth. Secondary marketplace protocol, there's no fees on though. So yeah, it's just a minting on that.
Yeah, sweet, man. It's kind of fair enough, I think.
Right. So here we go. Let me see. I did these notes late, so I'm kind of not really remembering everything. All right, so we got the airdrop out. We like that. Okay, here we go. We deployed a curation contract at some point, and I don't think
Have you
unless
sharing your screen again?
it's still, oh yeah, no, I'm about to. Good point though. So let's see. I think we'll end actually almost exactly on time. We got 9 minutes. Let's see if we can do this. So here's the curation contract that we deployed earlier just now. You can still see here, there's no listings, but we can now add something, and we're going to add something. It's going to be the address of this curation path. So here's the contract address that we just deployed. Sorry, it's not going to be the address of the curation path. It's going to be the address of the on-chain token that we just deployed. There's a lot of addresses we're dealing with, so bear with me.
Like the contract's address for the token rather than like a digital address.
Exactly. So this is the on-chain reputation token that we just created with the ZORA additions tool. Now we're grabbing that contract and we're going to Etherscan, because I haven't built a UI out for this yet. I mean, I kind of did on the present material one. That works, but I haven't built like a more generalizable one that's open. So we go to write contract, connect to Web3, boom, boom, and then add listing. And then, like I said, it's literally just as easy as boom. And because my wallet right here, I included myself, I was in this, I'm a holder of that collection. So I should be able to get in here and then call this function. And this is going to add this address to the listing, to the like publicly viewable listings like function. So this is processing. We'll go back to read contract, and then we'll refresh once we see that this has gone through.
Nice.
And then we're gonna get into and then we'll make the very basic UI.
In the background, it's pulling in those addresses that we uploaded to the contract earlier.
Yep. So the whole concept is you get addresses on chain, and then you build a front end that makes a read call, right? Like directly at those directly at that on-chain array to do that. And honestly, I'm going to start just moving on that because I want to make sure we get to there. So it looks like that just processed. So now when I refresh, we should see that address that we just listed in that on-chain array. And we do.
Nice.
Yay. And that is the same address you can see here, boom, as this address.
And so anyone that holds an NFT at that contract address can then curate.
Yeah, so whoever we just dropped to, whoever we just airdropped the token to, you can also start curating if you want to. Maybe hold off, but do what you want. Now you can do it. The contracts allow it. So, okay, we're now going to try and get this front end going extremely quickly, so that we can like showcase what is happening. This is where I'm going to leverage the. Thank God I did this yesterday.
I can roll over sometime, man, if it saves.
Okay,
you.
I need to hop. Actually, aggressively sharp at 10:30 for some other things, so I'm gonna try and fly through this. That's my apologies. I did some stupid scheduling. Okay, here we go. Prep pages. Okay, so we're gonna make a new. Okay, get this fake Excel out of my face. Here we go. Yes code. All right, we're gonna make a new folder. Boom. Sorry, we're gonna make a new page that's called on-chain curation. New file, on-chain curation.tsx. Boom, and we'll get the local host running. So we have here. So here's like, this is just the ZORA starter kit fork. So it's just like, that's what you're seeing. And then now we're going to create this new page that will let us do, kind of show the thing that I need to explain. And I'm not explaining perfectly right now. This is all a work in progress, all a draft. I'm still learning, y'all. So thank you for dealing with me. I appreciate it. But hopefully this gives you inspiration that if I can do this, so can you,
Month 7.
Yeah, exactly. We still got a long way to go. We're in the very early stages. So I just copied over this on-chain rep code into this repo, and then I'm also going to copy over this component, which is like doing a kind of like a fetcher component. And I will explain these. I just want to get this working first while we're on this call so that we can actually have a productive thing come out of this. Okay, boom. We got boom. And then the one thing I'll do, okay, so to take a step back, now that we have that set up, this on-chain curation page, what this is doing is it's going to be targeting the address of the curation contract we just deployed. So I need to go grab that. This is the curation contract. The curation contract being the thing that's like providing this mechanism for updating an on-chain array. I'm going to plug that in here. So now we're looking at the right one. And we're calling that function name, that view all listings function, just like a read call. And then that will grab that array and store it. And then, you know, we'll just have this little check to make sure that we're only, like, this is kind of doing a check to make sure the data actually gets pulled through. And then we're going to pass that data, which is the on-chain array, into this fetcher component. So really basic, one read call, pass the data from that read call into a different component that will be interacting with the ZORA indexer to get some interesting information about it. So now we move over to the fetcher component. We have the API endpoint for ZORA, which is right here. If you want the best place to get started with learning about how to use the API is api.zora.co. Boom, docs, everything you would ever want. So we have that. We have this little, like, really basic kind of like fetcher setup. I just learned how to do this yesterday because I haven't been using use SWR, which is like, I don't even know how to explain it really well, but it kind of like automates live refreshing of API requests, so you always have up-to-date data. I think maybe I explained that right, something like that.
Yeah, it's very similar to use query.
Yeah. Right. I've been using like Urkel, like GraphQL stuff a lot recently, but this is just way better. So I'm using this now. So what we're doing is we're grabbing the array and we're passing it in as like a prop to this component. And you can see in the console log, we're like taking that, and then I'm checking to just grab the first. That on-chain array could have lots of addresses theoretically, right? Just like I showed you at the beginning for present material. For this use case, I just want to grab the first one. This is kind of like me hard coding in just to like get something useful. So here's like, we pass in the on-chain array, we're grabbing the first entry in that on-chain array, which will be a specific address, which is the one that we added on Etherscan. And then we're going to send this query to the ZORA indexer, where we're going to say, okay, all right, whatever, I need to explain this role. So for the four collections that have the collection address of that engineering reputation token, because that's what we curated on this on-chain array, we're going to filter for all of the transfer events that happened, which is like that initial like mint and then transfer to the end user. And then we're going to get some information about that transaction. Because what I wanted to show here is you can use the ZORA indexer to get interesting information off of these types of like on-chain registries. So we'll actually be, the idea is that you can create user profiles that show lots of information, including how long that person, or like how long ago that person received the reputation token, you know? So you can identify the difference between someone who received the reputation token yesterday and like 3 years ago, right? Because maybe that's useful information. If someone's had that reputation for 3 years, maybe they're a more like trusted member of the community than someone who received it yesterday.
Could you like could you add like composability to it and like either like add traits or like?
Yes. So I'm gonna let me go over to the playground real quick, just because this will show this like way better than me trying to like explain this. So this is like a nice like UI for interacting with the ZORA indexer, and the only thing I need to do is just grab that specific address that we want to be looking at. And let's see if this has been indexed yet. Boom. So again, we're filtering for transfer events to try and get the date that the end user like received it, and this is working perfectly. So this is the collection address that we are like looking at all of it. We're looking at like all of, actually no, it's only like the girly indexing went live relatively recently, so it's not everything that's ever existed on Girly, but it's now like new things that are created on Girly show up on this indexer, like any NFT, and all this information about it. So we're going through all of Girly Ethereum, and we're filtering for this collection address, and we're filtering for every transfer event that's ever happened with these additions, with tokens from this address. And in a theoretical world where these are untransfer, like you can't transfer them, they're soul bound. This will be like the full list of every event ever, right? Because people won't be able to like transfer them afterwards. So again, we're not really doing that yet, but that's kind of like the use case I'm envisioning. And then we're gonna grab the timestamp, and now we can actually like read that information and then start creating user profiles. So it's 10:30. I need to go, but I want to get this working. So we're gonna do a very quick thing, just on chain. What did we call it? Jeez. Pages on chain curation. And then I'm gonna have to leave extremely abruptly, and I'm very sorry in advance. But look at this. Okay, it worked. Amazing. So what this is doing is it is grabbing the information from this fetcher, which is the same information you see on this playground, right? So it's grabbing that information and it's just passing it into, like, it's just JSON stringifying all of that and then reading it out on the UI. And then now you see this horrible website that looks like this. But if you look closely, you can see the block timestamps of everything. And then if you theorize like a couple steps ahead of this, you could create a UI that shows like all the user profiles, like when they receive their tokens, maybe other like Ethereum activity information, stuff related to DAO, on-chain proposals. Like this lets you curate. You're doing like multiple levels of curation here by putting up the official reputation tokens of the DAO. You can then find all of the holders of those tokens, and then you can find all of the information that's associated with those addresses and then do lots of stuff from there. And then that's how you can build out these really interesting on-chain reputation tokens. And I'm going to leave it at that. I have to jump, and I'm very sorry. This was a little ridiculous, and I'm going to follow up later today with get this on a repo and like something people can just like use more easily. But thank you so much for having me on. I hope this was helpful. I know I just rushed through that ridiculously, but this was a very cool full circle moment for me, because I was the person watching all these workshops like 7 months ago, and now I'm doing them, and now I still don't know what I'm doing, but I'm still working on it. So thank you very much for having me on, and good luck to you, everybody, all the stuff you're building, and hopefully Ethereum doesn't crash today.
Yeah, merge party, man. Thanks very much.
Awesome.
Send me the info afterwards, and we'll get all of the video description, everything updated.
Sweet. Sounds good. I'll catch you later. Peace, everyone.
Peace, everyone.